All right, let's get right into it. We are unpacking what might be one of the smartest, most strategic AI acquisitions of the year. And yeah, it's a story about a massive price tag, but the real value? It isn't just about the money. It's about securing the entire future of AI.
So everything really kicks off with a number. A number so big, it stops you in your tracks. It makes you ask the question, what on earth could be worth that much?
And there it is, $3 billion. That's the price Nvidia ended up paying for an Israeli AI startup called AI21 Labs. A cool $3 billion. And you know what's crazy? That wasn't even the first offer. The price was actually revised up. They paid a scarcity premium just to make sure no one else could get their hands on it. Now get this, AI21 Labs only has about 200 employees. You do the math on that, and it comes out to a staggering $15 million per person. I mean, that is just way beyond a typical tech deal.
So what is going on here, right? This isn't just about buying another company. This is a grandmaster level chess move on the global AI board. And we're going to break down the strategy piece by fascinating piece to really understand why Nvidia placed this incredible bet.
Okay, so to find the first big clue, we've got to look past the software and focus on who Nvidia was really buying. See, this wasn't a normal acquisition at all. It was what we call in the industry a massive acqui-hire. The main goal wasn't the product. It was the unbelievable talent of the people themselves. And we're not just talking about a good team. This is an all-star lineup. You've got pioneers like Emnon Shashua, the guy who founded Mobileye and sold it to Intel for over $15 billion. You've got Yoav Shoham, a world-famous AI professor from Stanford. This kind of brain trust, it's something you literally cannot build from scratch. And that brings us to the most important point. The valuation here has nothing to do with revenue. It's all about something called replacement cost. Think about it. How long would it take and how much would it cost to assemble a team like this with their unique, game-changing ideas starting from zero? Well, the answer is way more than $3 billion. What Nvidia really bought was time and a massive, massive head start. So, what did this dream team actually build that was worth so much? Well, they weren't just chasing the latest trend. They were systematically solving the two huge problems that are holding AI back from being used everywhere, especially in big business.
First up is efficiency. Okay, so pretty much every major AI model you've heard of, GPT-4, Llama, you name it, they all run on this architecture called the transformer. And it's incredibly powerful, but it has a critical and very, very expensive flaw.
Just look at the graph here. See that steep blue curve? That's the problem with AI today. It's like a taxi fare where the cost per mile doubles every single mile you travel. It gets impossibly expensive for long trips, or in AI's case, for long documents. Now look at the green line. That's AI21's solution, called Jamba. It's a flat rate. This is an absolute game changer, making it dramatically cheaper and faster to process huge amounts of information.
All right, the second huge problem is trust. We've all seen it, right? These large language models sometimes just make stuff up. They hallucinate. And when you're just messing around, it's kind of funny. But for a business in finance or medicine, it's an absolute deal breaker. You can't have that.
And this shows their solution so perfectly. A normal AI is kind of like that know-it-all friend who just guesses the answer to everything. But AI21's Maestro system, it's totally different. It acts more like a project manager. If you ask it a math problem, it doesn't try to guess, it sends the task to a calculator. If it needs a fact, it goes and looks it up in a database. This makes the answers traceable, verifiable, and reliable. It turns AI from this unpredictable black box into a tool you can actually trust with important work.
But here's the twist. This incredible team and their breakthrough tech, that's just one part of the story. The real reason for that $3 billion price tag is hidden in a high-stakes war being fought over the future of AI hardware.
See, for the longest time, the big challenge in AI was training. That's the heavy lifting of building the AI brain, kind of like constructing a skyscraper. But the new battleground, the new war, is inference. That's the part where you actually use the AI to answer millions of questions from millions of users all day, every day. It's less about building the city and more about running it efficiently. And in this new war, Nvidia had a really big competitor.
So on one side, you have Nvidia's GPUs. Think of them like a super-powered Swiss Army knife, flexible, great at a lot of things. On the other side, you've got Google's TPUs. These are specialist chips. They were custom-built to do just one thing, but do it incredibly well. The exact type of math at the heart of the old transformer models. And because of that, they were a huge threat to Nvidia's business in the inference market.
And this is the masterstroke.
AI21's Jamba architecture works differently. It doesn't rely as much on that pure matrix math that Google's TPUs are so good at. Instead, it's much more dependent on high memory bandwidth, which, you guessed it, is the exact strength of Nvidia's own GPUs.
So here's the bottom line. By buying AI21 and making Jamba the new, more efficient standard, Nvidia is literally changing the rules of the game to favor its own hardware. It is a brilliant, brilliant move to neutralize its biggest competitor and protect its kingdom.
So let's zoom out and see how this all clicks into place for the grand finale of Nvidia's strategy. Because this wasn't just about playing defense, it was about building a complete end-to-end AI empire.
For years, Nvidia has been building this tower, this stack. They already had the silicon chips, the networking, the core computing layers. AI21 provides the final, crucial pieces right at the very top. Jamba becomes the efficient brain, and Maestro becomes the trustworthy logic. And just like that, Nvidia completes its transformation from just a hardware seller into the architect of the entire AI factory.
And this is just so critical because it stops Nvidia from becoming what's called a dumb pipe, just a commoditized hardware provider that other people build their cool software on top of. By owning the entire stack, they now control the whole workflow, from the silicon all the way up to the reasoning engine. And that means they capture value at every single step of the way.
So in the end, that $3 billion check, it wasn't just for a startup. It was Nvidia buying the blueprints for the entire next generation of artificial intelligence. It was a move to ensure that the future of AI won't just be built on Nvidia hardware, but it will be increasingly built by Nvidia's own architecture.